All right, welcome to the Tangent Gentleman. Each week we start with a topic from the previous episode, and Scott and I have a conversation and we see where that goes, and along the way we'll have a question, idea, or disagreement that will become next week's topic with our decision on our tangents at the end of the episode. Welcome back, Scott.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Welcome back to our listeners.
Yes, welcome.
So this week we are talking about nature, wide open nature.
Yes.
We didn't put any parameters on it.
I know. I'm not going to lie. I kind of wish we had. I found myself all over the map, but I guess that's kind of good too. So
my daughter thinks we ought to start dressing up like our question of the week. So how would you have dressed this week for nature if we were doing that? I am wearing this is in reference to a local park, Keep Creasing Green. There you go, yeah.
So that's a reference to a local park. I don't know. Probably not much more than this unless I really tried to work on it. What would you have done?
I don't know. Maybe not wear any deodorant.
I guess I could have worn my Yellowstone National Park shirt.
Yeah.
I went to Yellowstone.
Yeah, probably something like that. Maybe some rose-colored glasses. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe, it's funny something growing on my head. I don't know.
A flower pot. I kept trying to get back to not go outside and walk around in the forest or in the woods or, commune with a tree. Nature is what I kept trying to come back to. And I kept getting into this idea of
trying to get away from that or coming back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kept trying to get away from that idea. I figure obviously we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But I kept going into this idea of what's natural. What does that mean? Is that natural? Is that a natural thing to do? Which kind of got me more into what humans do as far as natural, which is not really, it's part of nature. Humans are an animal in nature.
Yeah.
But
that's definitely
I kept
nature.
Getting into that part of nature. Is it in your, the idea is it in your nature? Do you do that? Is that something that's in your nature?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As opposed to
individual nature.
Yeah. You're
interesting.
Sort of
I didn't even take that. Yeah. That didn't enter my mind, that approach. Yeah, I started, like you said, I started thinking about, what is it about, being in a forest? Why do I like hiking in a forest? Why do I like being on a boat on the river or on a lake? And I started kind of down that route. But then, because it's something that I just really enjoy thinking about, I settled on the mysteries of nature.
Okay. Yeah.
And just different things that I enjoy thinking about, wow, that's just crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of where I kept coming to when I thought about the sort of the natural world. I kept coming to this. I think we've talked about this before, but I find it so fascinating that the atoms are just shared, The atoms in the trees in my yard, the carbon atoms in the trees in my yard aren't any different than the carbon atoms in the trees in your house. I don't know if you have trees in your yard or not, but obviously my carbons, it's very unlikely that the carbon, some of your carbon is probably, formerly Brad's carbon is probably in my trees. You've been in my house enough.
Yeah.
You've exhaled in my house enough.
Yeah.
That you've put carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. You know? Which I just think that is a fascinating idea. And is that what you mean by the mysteries?
Sort of. Yeah. I do think, I do like thinking about, so what is it? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Yeah. That makes up what? I don't know what the percentage is. 98% of living things. Is that right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is. Yeah. That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Right. Yeah. I was talking to somebody this weekend about this. I don't remember how we got on the subject about that humans and chickens share It's phenomenal. Like 65% of their DNA is exactly the same.
Well, speaking of DNA, that's another thing. Like I don't know what it all is, but there's like 4 things in DNA, right?
Right. Yeah.
They're all letters. I don't know what it is. I'm sure you do.
The 4. I do. Yeah.
I know one of them's A.
There was a T, and a G and a C. Yep.
So, yeah. And the blueprint for everything, right? The blueprint for everything is those 4, whatever they are.
Anything that's alive. That was alive.
Yeah. So that is crazy.
Which that's the the nature. Which that gets back to a couple weeks ago when we talked about COVID and the mRNA. Like that's the mRNA is the map for that DNA. It's the it's the string of it's the piece of it's a piece of the sequence that maps the DNA.
Yeah, I love to think about that. And it is something that we still got a lot to learn about. But just how an acorn has the entire blueprint and the energy to become a oak tree, or maybe not the energy, but it's got everything within it.
It has energy to become a seedling.
Yeah,
and then the seedling has to do the but to your point,
it's all in that little.
Yeah, right. The idea that hey, I'm gonna put this stem up and it's going to have leaves, and those leaves can take in light and they can make energy and they can make sugars and carbohydrates, and it's not going to be a cherry tree.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a tomato plant. It's going to be an oak tree.
Yeah, it never messes up.
Yeah.
Well, it does mess up, but if it messes up too bad, it's not going to, like you said, it's not going to become a tomato plant. It's going to become an oak tree that's going to die because something didn't go right.
Right. Yeah.
But no, that's not so the mysteries I was thinking about, and I do love thinking about, we had an episode where we talked a lot about that, DNA and things, but mine was more like just things that just happen all the time around us that just is kind of mind-blowing. Like the one I thought about a lot was animal migration.
Mm-hmm.
And everything behind that. And something that's just amazing to me is the journey of a monarch butterfly.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Yeah. That's crazy.
I mean, it just blows my mind. So I kind of read up on that today, and the precision of it's what's crazy. So like they go out, and I think I have this right. If I don't have everything right, it's going to be close. So they start their travel from Mexico to North America, and they kind of spread out. But what's interesting, that trip to North takes several generations. Did you know this? These as they have offspring traveling north, they only live for a month or less, and then the next generation's born and they continue the journey. And they spread out in the northern part of the United States and Canada, and then once they get there, like this super monarch is born that can live 8 or 9 months, and it makes the complete flight all the way from wherever they are in North America all the way back to Mexico, which is pretty mind-blowing. But even more than that is they go to a specific section of the forest that's just like, acres, can be measured in acres. It's like a certain area that's the perfect climate for them to go back and start this again. It's just.
So what do they? If they just migrate to seek food? I mean, what's the sort of the explanation about why do they go north and then what?
I don't think we really know. Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, I think.
Hence the mystery, right?
I mean, I think this forest in Mexico is like the perfect climate to do whatever they need to do to start the next generation to go north. And then when they go north, they kind of spread out. It's like they don't go to the same place all the time. But there are other animals, like another one is a sea turtle. They are born. And then they go out and travel. I think it takes 25 to 30 years for a sea turtle to mature. So they're out just swimming thousands of miles, And then when they mature and it's time for them to lay eggs, they go back to where they were born. And not just the same beach, like the same, within a few hundred yards of wherever they were born to lay their eggs. That kind of stuff just blows my mind. Like what sense is it that they're using that we don't have and that we don't really understand?
Yeah.
And I think I think they think it's magnetic fields or something like that. But
right. I know that's what they said pigeons had, homing pigeons had, that it's magnetic. Their alignment to the magnetic field is what they use for their sense of direction.
But they also know they use smell. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, so if they take away a pigeon's sense of smell, they're all jacked up.
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I used to buy corn for our squirrels and deer and everything else we had in the backyard at home from this farmer. And he would open up the trailer and he had all this bird feed. And I said, I didn't know you sold bird feed. And he said, yeah. He said, I sell most of this to the guys that raise pigeons around here. And I got to talking to him about it. And so do you know, like, if they take a pigeon away from home and, they're trained to get back home, I don't know if you train them or if that's just something they do. Is that just a natural response to get back home? Or
when I was a kid, my brother, who was 5 years older than me, he kept pigeons.
Okay.
And they just came back. I mean, we didn't train them. He didn't train them. It's just the same pigeons would come back.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So if you take them away, and you can take them, I think, a substantial distance away, and you open the cage and you let them out. This farmer was telling me that they fly up and they do big circles, just like you do with your cell phone to get the GPS set. They tell you to do a figure 8. That's what they do. They fly big. If they're in an area where they don't know where they are and they've got to find their direction back home, they'll fly big circles until they know which way to go.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, that's.
But you could get into, we could probably have a whole podcast about magnetic fields and magnetic poles and.
Yeah, what are the effects? Yeah, and how it's, it's crazy when you people the magnetic field of Earth has changed. It moves.
It
has moved,
and it's drifting now, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy when you think about all of the things that we base in our life on where the magnetic field is, but it's moving. It moves ridiculously slowly, but it is moving. And so, what's that going to do? What effect is that going to have? And is it so slight that it's a gradual change and we will just adjust accordingly? It used to be you could go, you could farm this far south, because if the field shifts, in theory, the tilt should shift and the rotation should shift. So
magnetic fields are from molten metal in the core of the Earth, right? As the Earth spins, it's
iron nickel core. Yeah,
it's conducting electricity, right? Basically, a big generator.
It's not really. I guess sort of, yeah.
Or making
it's not really. I mean, it's creating a magnetic field. That's not the same as an electrical field. But it is creating. There is a magnetic field.
Aren't they related somehow?
Yeah, they're definitely related. Yeah. That was a big. It was a big discovery in the 1600s that those two things are related.
Yeah. So, but they also think. Or I guess you could say it's known. I don't know. I always wonder how some of these things are known, but the North and South Pole have flipped a few times, right? Over the history of Earth.
I think that's the idea of the pole of the magnetic field moving.
Yeah, slowly, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it is actually how they discovered that is fascinating because if you think about what a magnet does, it attracts, iron particles, we'll say, other elements, but we'll say iron too, and they line up in a certain direction. Well, what they discovered is when you start to look at the crust over the years, that direction, you're going along, sort of like when you're in the Grand Canyon and you see the slices of the earth that got cut through by the river. Well, as they're analyzing these stacks and stacks and stacks of subterranean soil, they're seeing that the orientation changes. And that's how they think they know, or that's the evidence that they cite to say, oh yeah, that's because the magnetic field of the earth, the North and South Pole, changed directions. Yeah. So the things that were lining up lined up, it's simplification, but they used to line up facing left. And then at some point the pole switched. So then they faced right. And that was true for, 50, 60,000 years, 100 million, whatever long it was. And then the pole switched again and they lined up the other way. So when they look at the slices of earth, they see the change in orientation.
So does that mean the continental divide is always moving?
I would say it is, because it's a plate. It's on top of a plate. I don't know that it's moving because of the magnetic. I think it's moving because it's on a plate.
So if you're standing right on the continental divide on a river, what's happening with that river? If you're right at that point, is it flowing in two different directions?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do I have that totally wrong? Because the continental divide.
I mean, that's what I'm not a geologist by any stretch. I don't know that much about geology. But yeah, that's my understanding. Continental divide is
the rivers are running to this ocean that way, and the other ocean the other way, right? So I wonder,
if you're exact at that point, water at the top, half of it would go left, half of it would go right. yeah, that makes sense.
That's one of those mysteries of nature. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. A mystery of nature. So speaking of mysteries, what are like the top, I don't know, 3 or even 1, like most amazing things that you've seen, like in nature?
Oh gosh.
I can say mine.
Start it out. Let me see if something comes to me.
For me, it's the Grand Canyon.
Oh yeah. I would think so.
The Grand Canyon is the most amazing natural thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just when you stop to think about, this was carved.
Just the immensity of it, or just your thoughts go. Yeah.
I mean, everything. I mean, I've been a few times, and every time I go, I always think about this story, which I don't know that this really happened, but I love this story. There was this, indigenous boy, this little kid, he was always roaming, too far from where his parents told him to stay here. And he was notorious for going too far. And one day he came back and he's like, Mom, Dad, you're not going to believe what's past that ridge. What do you mean? He's like, there is this hole. I mean, it's like, I can't even describe it. It's so big and it's all these different colors. Oh, now you're just exaggerating. No, I'm not. It's really over there. And, I always envision that conversation. I mean, I know that's probably silly because people probably lived in it, people were living at the river in the base of it. But I always think about that, like the kid that wandered too far and was the first one who saw it and went back and told all his, people in his community.
It's definitely one of those things that pictures do no justice. Because that's what stood out to me when I saw the Grand Canyon is, I wasn't real excited about going to see it because, I've seen pictures of it and I thought, it's a big hole in the ground. But then when you get there, you're like, oh my gosh. And when we went, there were some people horseback riding all the way down by the river. And I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah. The size of it's just crazy. But I do have one. I just thought of it.
Okay.
Solar eclipse.
Okay. Yeah.
In Hopkinsville. Was it Hopkinsville?
Yeah. That's where that one was. We had another one fairly recently.
Yeah.
In southern Indiana. And we went to Brown County and saw it. But yeah.
Was it a total eclipse?
Total eclipse, yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. When it gets to the point where everything just turns black and, you see the halo. I mean, it's... So,
again, think about like what... Kind of like my idea of this little native boy.
Like primitive people?
What did you think? I mean, you had to think the world was coming to an end.
Yeah. I mean, that would be crazy. Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't have any explanation. I mean, I guess you would have some mystical, godlike, this is this, maybe this is this God and this is what they do. And
yeah,
I don't know that you would, I don't know. I mean, would you think you would automatically go to like the punishment? Like, oh man, I don't know what we did.
Here goes our son forever.
We're in trouble now.
Well, at least they didn't, maybe they didn't know that the son was giving life to everything they knew.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't as big a deal.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was,
I think, yeah.
That was amazing.
That's a pretty amazing thing. You're right. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. It was, the Hopkinsville one, I didn't see it. I was still at school. And I remember that. And that was pretty neat too, to be in the partial, because you get that weird pattern of shadows. But yeah, when we went to the Brown County one, that was which was, like you said, was the full. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, yeah.
So when was that one in Brown County?
It was fairly recently. Maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there big crowds there?
Pretty big, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went, my wife and I, my younger son went, I guess. Yeah, we were retired then, because I remember, yeah, because we met some friends of ours up there, and I think they had reserved a campground, and we met them up there. It wasn't crazy crowded. Like when Erin went to Hopkinsville, she said it was crazy. Was that your experience?
Oh gosh,
yeah.
It took us way too long to get home.
Yeah, that was hers, because she took a group of kids, because it was right when school started, right? Wasn't it in August?
Oh yeah, they were giving out solar eclipse classes at school.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember
then they found out whoever they bought them from wasn't a legitimate place and wasn't going to protect the kids' eyes, so they had to replace them all.
So well, I remember that so well. Yeah, we had to go back. Oh no, you got to go collect all those classes that we gave out. Yeah, that was
So let me hear your thoughts about, is that in your nature? How deep did you go with that path?
Oh, it was more of just, I didn't research it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just more of a, it kind of started getting it for me, just a thought, sort of a thought experiment, if you will, or a thought processing, was just the idea of why are some people sort of, I don't want to say good people, but why are some people tolerant? What happened is, something happened, and a person, it's just like somebody, a traffic thing, somebody cut in front of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with a friend of mine, and she said, why do you think that person got so upset about that? And I said, well, I don't know. I guess it's just in their nature. And then it just got me thinking, like, why are there people who react negatively? Like, why is that their natural response? To say, like, I've been wronged and therefore I have to react negatively. Whereas some people are like, yeah, whatever.
I'd say it's more learned, would be my guess.
You think?
Yeah. That would be my guess. Or just like going on in their life. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it seems like a lot of, guys, there's so much of what we think is us that we've just learned, or it's been ingrained in us. We were just talking today, so I just put down some weed and feed on my lawn, and I think it's fed all the dandelions.
Yeah.
So then, here's what happened. I went to buy Scott's weed and feed, which is what I always use, but it's $85 a bag now.
Wow.
So I got the Menards weed and feed. Well, it didn't kill the dandelions like I'm used to seeing. You start seeing them drying up. But then I asked my wife, I said, I wonder why we've been trained to think that little yellow flowers in your yard is ugly.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So, that's got to be learned, because when you go out and look at them, they're not ugly if you just look at them. But,
no.
If you just try to do so without the bias we have to them being a weed and need to be out of our yards.
Yeah. Yeah. My only issue with the only problem I have, like, as long as something green is growing in my yard within reason, I'm okay with that. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, I like to have a nice looking grass yard, whatever. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm happy with it. I just don't like things that grow at radically different rates. Because I cut the grass, and then 2 days later, it's like, what do you mean? How can that be tall?
What kind of grass is that gets like a foot tall before the rest of the yard starts growing? That first mow of the winter or after winter, like your lawnmower's not cutting anything, and all of a sudden it wants to die because it hits a big old clumps, 12-inch grass.
But no, I'm with you. I like violet. I think it's kind of cool that the plant comes up and it makes violets, and then for 2 weeks I have this sort of purple hue in my grass. I'm okay with that. There's another one that grows. This one I don't like as much, but it's kind of a pink flower. I don't know what it actually is. Because it not only does it make the pink flower, but the plant itself starts to grow out, kind of grow laterally and take over more space than I want it to. But violets seem like they just come up, they do their thing, And then the other one is like clover. Like what? Yeah. How are we all excited about finding? I mean, you're excited to find a 4-leaf clover, but you can't find a 4-leaf clover unless you have clover in your yard. You know? So I mean. So gotta be okay with that. Yeah, so.
I got another planetary mystery of nature.
Okay,
and then I'd like to talk about some on the scale of the universe.
Okay,
but the deep ocean, that's just amazing to me. Like some of these pictures that we're starting to get of these animals. Like they finally caught one of those giant squids on video a few years ago. And then I don't even know if this one's real, but I saw a picture one time of this fish that had like huge teeth. Like it's a small fish with these huge teeth. Have you ever seen that one? I don't even know if it was real. It might have been that should be we should have that as a episode one time. This was another idea of my daughter's. 2 old guys trying to decide what's AI and what's real. And we watch videos and we try
to be good. That would be good. I've done a little bit of that, and I'm terrible at it. I am terrible at identifying AI versus not AI. Yeah.
Well, some of the good ones, gosh, it makes you wonder about everything.
So apparently, the big issue is the duration. Like AI can't make like, I don't know what the number is, but we'll say more than 12 seconds. AI can't sustain it because then things start to get weird, like people's hands dissolve or the background turns green or something weird happens.
Oh, okay.
But apparently that's an issue with AI, is that it can't sustain. And I'm sure it's gotten better than when I learned that, because I think originally the first time I ever tried to do this, to your daughter's point, it was some article I was reading, and they said, here are 5 clips and 5 photos. 10 of each. 5 are real, 5 are AI, and which are which. And I started to learn, like, for the videos, if you watch them for more than like 3 or 4 seconds, something weird happens. Like I said, like somebody's hand dissolves.
Yeah.
Or the background that used to be perfectly normal suddenly just all goes to like this weird color of green. And that's how I kind of knew that it was AI. But the photos, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't tell on the photos.
Oh, well. Some of the stuff people believe about photos, I mean, Facebook's the worst. You'll see a picture, it's supposed to be taken like 1680 that's high definition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the one that gets me is, because I'm, as I have said a few times,
it's supposed to be a photo.
Yeah. I kind of know what's going on, like if Bruce Springsteen's touring or, where's he playing or whatever. And I'll see these things like, here, and it's some issue, some topical issue. Here's Bruce Springsteen in Minneapolis, handing out, food to the people that were protesting. Like, he's not in Minneapolis. He's on tour in France. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But it's like these pictures that, they look supposedly so real. And it's just, kind of crazy
those AI music companies now, you can buy the full package. If you pay for the full package, I think any songs you make on there, you are the owner of, and you can use them, how you like. And there are some YouTube channels getting hundreds of thousands of views with AI songs.
Yeah.
It's and making money, AdSense money from YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, I got one to start taking us from planetary into the universal scale.
Okay.
I like to think about gravity. How it's something we live with every day.
Yes.
And it's something that we know. I guess what it does. We know how what's going to happen. We know how it's going to act. But we really don't know, do we? Exactly what is the fundamental origin.
It's an attraction between objects that have matter.
Yeah, but why? Right? I mean, you start thinking about. Well, anytime you start thinking about space time, and matter making that curve in space time and all, it starts hurting my head.
Yeah.
And I start thinking the reason it hurts my head is because they don't know how to say it clearly, because they don't really understand exactly the fundamental.
Right. And I think, you're correct. But and this is probably somewhat dated. I haven't read about this in a few years. My most recent understanding is there are so everything's made up of atoms, which are made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. But then there are subatomic particles. You've heard of quarks, and there's mesons, leptons, and there's these particles called baryons, which make up protons and neutrons, and I think maybe electrons. I'm not sure, probably not. And they think that gravity may be related to the interaction of baryons. Like if protons and neutrons are made up, part of the components of protons and neutrons are these things called baryons. And then there's an interaction between the baryons of me and the baryons of the Earth. Then that is what causes gravity. Just like we now know, if there's a positively and a negatively electrically charged, there is that electrical force between them.
Yeah.
So gravity is based upon this particle. We think, I think it's called the baryons, is what makes gravity, the interaction between gravity.
Sounds like that might just be theory at this point.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Because anything with quantum mechanics blows my mind. This is how big of a nerd I am. I started watching, I found streaming somewhere, and it was a professor from, I don't know, somewhere like Harvard or some elite school that was doing a quantum mechanics course, streaming it. And I started watching this. And I swear I would get physical headaches trying to wrap my head around what he was saying. And the way it was advertised, and the reason I started watching it, it was this guy was supposed to be one of the best at making it understandable to the average person. And I guess I'm below average. I don't remember his name. I don't.
Would you remember if I said it?
Probably not.
Was it? Okay. Because there's a guy, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who was
I know him. Yeah, this wasn't him. No, this was
because he tries to do that. And he's pretty good at it. I mean, he makes the case that he can explain physics. Quantum physics. I mean, quantum physics is way. I mean, it's way out there. Thinking-wise,
Yeah. Well, the whole idea of stuff getting, just small things. Like I can kind of grasp when I think about the universe going out forever. I can kind of grasp that. But then when I think about looking in a microscope and it going in forever, that's hard for me to grasp. And that we're probably going to keep discovering something smaller than that last piece we thought was the smallest. And that's hard for me.
I mean, the idea that there are these weak and strong nuclear forces, like there's an interaction between particles that are what keep protons, attracted or repelled by other protons. Like that those forces exist. I mean, you can't even really think about what a proton is, let alone there's an interaction.
Well, and then you get into the whole piece, like you see those diagrams of atoms and, and you kind of think about an electron like a planet going around the sun.
Right.
But It's not, because it's not predictable. It's just probable where to be, and it's going to be. It might be at different places until you measure it, and then when you measure it, it's going to be.
It changes.
Oh.
Well, see, that was always one of my real pet peeves as a science teacher. Like, and I would tell kids that all the time. I was like, look, just so you know, I'm just going to tell you right now. I hate to break it to you. You may have really liked, Mr. Weston, your 7th grade science teacher, but he was a liar.
And this model sucks.
Electrons do not orbit like the planet. Yeah. I mean, they are in a cloud, a random distribution cloud around atoms. That's where they are. And like you said,
and if you boil it down, all nature is just a big probability cloud, right?
I mean, I guess if you want to go that far, because it's all made up of. I mean, everything's made up of protons and neutrons, which are somewhat fixed in the center of the atom. But any interaction is between the electrons on the exterior of the atom, which are in random distribution clouds.
Yeah. We've really nerded up this episode, haven't we?
But that's natural. To me, that's part of why nature is so fascinating.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Independent of I have several fish tanks. I love to just watch the fish and what they do and how they interact with one another and how they interact, who's the dominant fish. And the thing that's one of my tanks is talk about nerdy. So one of my tanks, I have this fish. I have a whole bunch of these fish, actually. And when one of the fish becomes the dominant male, it changes its, like its head changes. It gets these spikes on its head. And that's like it's what's called, I think it's called a secondary sex characteristic.
Yeah.
Only the dominant male. So there's like 30 of these fish in the tank.
Well, chickens do something like that. Did you know that? Like if you have chickens and I don't know exactly what it is, but you don't have a rooster in there, one of them takes on some physical traits of a rooster.
Wow.
I hope I didn't just totally make that up.
Well, maybe you did.
That's okay. I feel like that's true.
Yeah.
One other thing before we leave the planetary scale that's fun to think about, and everybody talks about it all the time and talks about interpreting them, and it's just like, why do we have to sleep? And why, when we do sleep, do we dream? And why? Yeah. And just the whole brain thing. How little we really understand about the brain.
See, I have no evidence to back this up, and I've never researched it. But my theory goes like this.
Oh, we got a Scott Snyder theory. Okay,
we got a Scott Snyder theory. When you sleep and you dream, that's just washed. That's like a cleaning out of all the chemicals that your brain processed that day in the terms of like if you go for a 5-mile hike. Yeah. All right. You see on that particular day, you see a lot of deer. Okay. So you saw deer. So what that means is light bounced off this object and it was in the wavelength of brown and white, and it came into your eye and as a certain energy wavelength, and that energy interacted with your brain, and it made chemicals form on your brain that said, oh, look at all those deer. And then you may have, I like those. Those are, whatever. I think positive thoughts about that. But in the end, that is because a chemical reaction happened. Light in the form of energy came into your brain. Your brain manufactured some chemicals that moved around that made that image and that thing occur to you.
Yeah.
So everything that happened that day is in there. And so when you go to bed at night, all that chemicals is just sort of washing around over your cerebral cortex. And and that's why when you have these dreams that are like weird as hell, like, you're like, you're eating dinner with your wife and a deer comes to dinner. Well, that's because you have a memory of eating dinner with your wife and you saw deer. So you have a chemical that's deer, but you also have a chemical that's dinner. And you also have the thing you're worried about whatever you're worried about.
Well, we know certain chemicals are being flushed out of your brain while you sleep, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So that's my theory about, and that's why, like, if you have a lot of stress and events associated with stress, those molecules are still washing around your brain at night. So you have a hard time sleeping.
It just goes against,
can't get away from those.
Just the idea of sleeping in itself just goes against everything in biology. Like, why did we evolve to have this 1/3 of our time be in this state that we're completely vulnerable and at risk? You know?
See, I look at it the other way. I say we had to have a time of minimal energy use. We could not sustain 24 hours a day of energy consumption, processing and consumption. So we have to have a phase that's less energy use. Yeah, you're right. And we are completely vulnerable in that phase.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
So, speaking of light, on a universal scale, and this one, I have no understanding of this, and even I don't even try to understand it anymore because it just blows my mind. So, we got all this stuff that makes up, I think, 5% of the universe and everything around us. And then there's this other stuff, dark matter and dark energy.
Oh my gosh,
that doesn't absorb light, it doesn't emit light. And we think it's out there because it does. There are, you can see more gravity than there should be by the matter, is the way I understand it, right? The stuff we see.
That's my understanding.
Like this,
I'm by no means knowledgeable about this.
The whole dark matter and dark energy thing is just, that's just mind blowing.
To me, it validates what you always say. We don't really understand it nearly as much as we think we do.
No. We like to think we're really smart, but we aren't.
We don't.
We learn a lot all the time, but a lot more all the time, and it's fun to. But it is fun to think about that stuff.
Well, when you start to think about, this existence of this matter and energy that we don't really understand, and then you think, okay, well, what the energy and matter that we do understand, we've taken advantage of, we've utilized for lots of good, some not so good.
Yeah.
But what is going on with all the energy and matter we don't understand? And is it happening? Like you say, you're all in your alien theories. Maybe they know. Maybe they're utilizing the dark matter and the dark energy, and they're all just all around us right now. And
maybe so.
They're just kind of laughing at us. Look at these two old guys talking. They don't know anything.
And I don't like saying that I'm into it. I'm just saying that I'm open to it.
Okay. I wasn't trying to judge. I'm not judging it by any stretch.
You sounded judgy.
I'm sorry. In no way did I mean to be judgy. I will say this, and I don't think, knowing you're not into making this point, but I think you have made me think differently about it.
Okay.
So I don't know. I know I'm not where you are on it, but I think differently about than I used to, whatever X months ago. So,
yeah. Well, if you believe the Earth is, 4 billion, 5 billion, how old is it?
Yeah.
That old. Roughly. And humans have been around about a couple 100,000 years or 300,000 years. Yeah. It's crazy that we think we're so smart.
Yeah.
You're gonna get Chris in here before we run off all of our
see what he has to say. Exactly. We'll need to alienate everybody.
No, I think everybody enjoys thinking about this stuff, though. But it is crazy, though. There's some crazy things out in nature.
Yeah.
Another one we didn't talk about is that bird that flies like 40,000 miles a year.
I don't know about this.
Man, where's Chris? There he is.
I don't know.
Maybe that's not Chris.
Uh-oh. One of our dark matter friends is showing up.
Let's see if I put in my phone 40,000 migration.
Where does it go for 40,000 miles?
It flies from like one end of the Earth to the other, I think. This might be something else I'm making up. I'm gonna have to. I hope Chris is checking my chicken story and now my bird story.
Okay.
Oh, wait a second. Chris might be trying to join. He's waiting for me to admit. That's the beep I'm hearing.
There he is.
Hey, all right, guys.
What's up, buddy?
Sorry about that, Chris. You kept on beeping, and I just was ignoring you.
Yeah, I think when we go past the scheduled meet time, it changes up a little bit. I had to come back in. It was a little different, but hey, you guys pulled it off. It was actually a somewhat entertaining conversation about some nature. I'll give it to you. It made me laugh when you asked Brad, did he remember a name? I love when you do that. That's always one of my favorite parts because I already know the answer. But yeah, some things I thought we
hang
had
on
to
just
go.
a second. Hang on, Chris. I found it.
All right.
The Arctic tern. It flies
I've heard of that bird.
It flies from the Arctic to the Antarctic every year.
Wow.
That was a good one.
That's some frequent flyer balls.
I bet he's got some strong biceps.
Is that what they are? I wonder. I don't know. But hey, so let's go with some I thought we'd start off with some good nature names. That since we did nature, so I started with for my Reds friend here, Pete Rose, Woody Harrelson, River Phoenix, Bears Grylls, Neil Diamond, and of course you got to go with Rick the Nature Boy Flair. When you're talking about nature. So there are so many nature names, and it was an interesting topic. I thought maybe we'd have to fill with something like that, but you guys pulled it off. It was very interesting. And I love the dandelion question, Brad. I just said that to Tiffany last week. I'm like, we could get this. We were in the store. It was the weed and dandelion killer. And I'm like, well, I don't like weeds, I guess, but why they got to throw dandelions in there? I mean, I used to bring those to my mom. And it's such a short lifespan. Like the dandelions kind of disappear early on. So
the little furry seed things though are pretty ugly.
Aaron said she was that the Derby or maybe somebody had a hat, like a Derby hat, and it had. He said that it looked like a dandelion, and he said, I just wanted to go up and go.
Hey, speaking of the Derby and Ric Flair, Bob Baffert's starting to look more and more like Ric Flair.
Oh, he is. He's hanging on to that one piece of hair, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I hit the exacta in the Derby. That was a good one. I won a couple hundred on that. It's the only race I bet all day on my Twin Spires account.
How'd you get that? The winner? That's pretty impressive.
It was just I just go for good. If you can't make any money on the bet, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So I didn't spend a lot of time looking on it, but they got that as a PR or whatever. When you look at your the computer runs it 1,000 times and they tell you if they think how the odds are being read. And I just went with that and got lucky. I had no idea. Maybe look good though, because I supported the first women's trainer.
As I've gotten more and more into betting on sports, I actually watch. I realize. I bet on. I'm the same thing. I have a Twin Spires account. I bet $20 or whatever on the Oaks and Derby, and I know nothing. I'm a total idiot when it comes to betting horses.
Same.
Zero.
I think you could pick a number out of the hat and be as good as somebody that watches it every day.
Yeah,
that's all you do. I just pick good odds that'll pay you a little bit. Otherwise, what's the point?
It was awesome
to win $8.60.
It was awesome to see a trainer and a jockey so happy to win it, though. It was cool.
Yeah,
it was great. It was really cool. And his brother or cousin finished second. Amazing.
His brother.
It was, great Derby. And one of the things, Brad, you brought up was dark matter. And I love that because I feel like dark matter. Like if I watched the Marvel series, and as you went to the movies, you just felt like lazy writing. Like they would just make up things that now this guy could be here in 3 places in 4 different life forms. And dark matter just seems like a lazy Marvel writer to me. It's like, let's just call it dark matter and they'll buy it. But, dark matter.
Nobody understands that.
We don't know what's happening there. Let's say dark matter is impacting it.
Yeah.
I just want to say that is not going to be one of the topics we discuss potentially next week.
That would be a really short talk.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Chicken. Did you research the chicken?
No,
I didn't. Chicken become the dominant male, even though they're not male?
So. I didn't. So I had a little internet problems, but I did get. What I loved was your one of the subjects you brought up was watching your fish tanks and watching for the dominant fish, and it'll bring us to one of our one of our possible topics for next week, maybe one of our weaker ones, but it was turned out to be one of the 3 that we have. We're talking about 3 for next week, but it kind of got me on to, you guys talked about a few things with this topic, but it's interesting. You talked about watching fish, and we had a huge fish tank for a long time, and you can definitely learn a little bit about who's the boss in the fish tank just by watching a little bit and who gets to eat what. And it's very interesting. It's talking about studying nature, but it's a great show.
We got to give a grade. Let's give a grade. Are you getting a 10? I'm sorry, Chris, I cut you off there, but
no, that was it. No, let's go ahead. We grade first. How are y'all going to grade nature?
Yes, A+. A+.
That's A+.
Yeah, I'm going with A+. That's A+. There's so much out there.
We'll probably die tonight if we went less than A+.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Hey, wait, I got to do this. I got to do this for Scott.
Into alien mode.
I got to do this for Scott because I know he loves it so much. Does a hen take on characteristics of a rooster when it's all hens in the coop? That's what you're
Oh my God.
Rooster traits for a number of reasons. One hen, or a few hens, depending on the size of the flock.
They'll take on rooster-like traits to position as the authoritarian of the flock.
This answer is
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay, well that kind of goes into. Are you guys ready for potential? Because I think we all give nature an A.
So what was one? Fish tanks?
Well, no. We'll get to that. So what it was is like we talked about road rage for a second, and hell, what a topic. So road rage and anger, because we're talking a lot about human nature. But that's the specific part of it. Road rage is like you see road rage incidents all the time. I'm sure road rage has always gone on. But think about a whole road rage incident and how far it continues on. It may go on for miles down the road. And it's hard to imagine that anybody can have anger / road rage for that long. It's always been something that as I've gotten older, I've had less issues with. So, we'll call that number 1. Number 2.
You had road rage issues as a young guy?
No. I mean, you know what? Like, you can't do that anymore. Too many people are carrying and crazy. And like, I tell my kids all the time, look, if you see a guy in front of you at the Circle K and he's not talking well to his girlfriend, I know the instinct is to step in and say something. But this day and age, unless it gets physical and you think her life is in danger, you're probably best off just walking away. Just monitor the situation, but do not step in because it's probably not worth your life or potential incident. So, I mean, that's a different mindset because I can remember growing up. Just the thought of like, hey, man, come on, man, don't talk to somebody like that. You might say something as a younger person. But today I would be like, oh, man, this is killing me on the inside. I'm watching it as long as it doesn't get crazy. But so that falls right into rage and road rage and what you're kind of seeing.
You know what? This is real close to one of the tangents from a couple weeks ago, civility.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It goes right into that. And that's an easy thing to talk about.
I had a friend one time, we were having this conversation, and she said that what she likes to do is she does not address the aggressor. She addresses the perceived victim and says, are you okay? Do you need any help?
That's probably the best way to do it.
But I mean, sadly, that doesn't necessarily mean you won't just get shot in the back. But she said that she just finds that it's less confrontational.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that's what road rage just / anger.
That's probably good advice.
Good topic, but maybe not the happiest thing. I like these next two.
I'm just going to say right now, I'm not on for road rage, but go on.
I'm glad. All right. Because I really like the 2 we got here, and I'm going to save my best for last. But you guys talked about, a little bit about DNA, quite a bit about DNA, genetics, that type stuff. So what a great topic that would be, because there's a lot of moral questions that go on with DNA and genetics and the ability to change that, and a lot of the medical, with cancer and a lot of other things, the future of DNA. Does it matter if you're if you're changing some DNA that's already in a human body, like maybe a cancer cell or whatever, compared to an embryo? What about, are we about to get rid of all DNA issues? Is that right to go in to the womb, even to, if you can one day can work on the DNA, but just the genetics, what about with crime and how it's used with crime? Are we coming to the point where it's like, you see it now, and now they find this trace DNA, genetics, man, it really dominates a lot of your life and a lot of the fields and a lot of the areas that you can go into. But man, the future of DNA, and almost one of the most positive uses of AI, they say, is going to be in the medical field, and you can bet that it's going to go into with the DNA genetics type stuff. So that'd be an interesting stuff, gene therapy, all that kind of thing. The one I think that kind of tied into this one pretty well, you guys talked about like just some crazy natural nature things that are like amazing feats. And also many of those feats went right along with the mystery. Like, why do you do that? So you got to talking a little bit about our old boy Brad's aliens. How about an episode where you talk about mystery / conspiracies? Each of you pick 3.
I don't know how I became an alien conspiracy theorist.
Hey, man, the day I walked in when you and Cindy were watching Ancient Aliens, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is hilarious. And you're like, oh, what are you talking about, man? This is real.
It's nothing like that.
I think you were just messing with me, but I was like, all right, I'm not going into it. But I think it would be cool. There are so many great conspiracies, from the pyramids to the origin of man to the Voynich. You ever heard the Voynich book, the Voynich manuscript? It's pretty interesting when you get into it. It's like a 100 or 1,000-year-old manuscript that was found, and they can't figure out where it came from, what it is. It's probably the Marvel writers of the day trying to figure out the next play. But
what's it called? Spell it.
Let me see. I probably spelled it wrong. Voynich.
Voynich.
Yeah, and there's diagrams, but I think it would be cool. Like, there are so many. Amelia Earhart, what happened to her? Like, there are so many conspiracy theories / mysteries. If you each came up with 3 to discuss, and I think for the best discussion, if you choose this one, you probably want to share what you're going to do at some point during the week. Here's my 3. Here's your 3. To give you a little chance to kind of look into it if you wanted to. But how cool would it be just to talk about some conspiracies / mysteries of the world, whether it be right here in the United States or just like the pyramids. What a great 5 to 10 minute segment it would be to talk about the pyramids. There's more and more out about that all the time. So, road rage, anger, we're out. DNA, genetics.
I'm watching Scott's face as you talk about.
And then conspiracies such as the aliens. Because, possibly they've already been here and done things once. They left it for us. I don't know. And the mysteries. I think it would be fun to talk about that. You get to choose.
I think Scott might even have an alien brain.
And don't forget, road rage came in because we have talked about, we've already said it's kind of like civility as well. So we talked about just like human. We just did like nature.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about more of human nature. Like, how do we act? Yeah. Is it learned? Yeah. One of the things we started with, are our behaviors learned? What is learned? And what is just kind of genetic? So that's something that can go on either one of those. Or we can always go back. I think it's always good to keep that list of the former topics if we ever want to go back and address those, because it'd be a shame to have 2 great ones in the same week. And we can always go back to what we did in the past. But man,
I like the idea of where the road rage and everything come from, but I keep on going back to where you started the podcast with like what's in your nature and like what's learned, and I mean maybe even nurture, maybe even free will.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Let's go with that. I like that.
Like,
we can go places with that. Yeah,
I think that's good.
Yeah,
and that encompasses. That way, you don't have to spend the whole time talking about anger and road rage. We can just talk about free will in general, like the free will to believe that aliens have existed on our planet already.
You're going to
Free
have
will, watch whatever show you want with your wife.
Yeah.
And believe
you're going to have everybody thinking I'm crazy.
Yeah.
All right, I like that.
And
Free will. That's good.
I am a little bit crazy. You know, I watched not too long ago YouTube short of who is it? Neil
deGrasse
deGrasse
Tyson?
Yeah, he was talking about free will.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things that I always talk to about students, and I believe this for the most part, and I think I brought it up actually in the past on here. It's like free will is the choice. I remember a sermon in church, and the guy said, "Hey, you wake up with a cup full of joy every day. And the only way you can get rid of your joys is if you give it away, nobody can take it." So free will, is that true? Can you choose to be happy? I mean, can you?
Oh, yeah.
I think you can.
Definitely.
But people don't.
All right.
Yeah.
So
okay.
free will.
Free will.
I like that.
That'll be interesting.
Free will. That'll be interesting.
All right, man.
Sure.
We'll see you guys back here next week if we didn't run you off with extreme nerdiness this week.
especially Scott. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
See you next week.
Okay.